Good morning, dear learners. Welcome to teaching learning session of sociology. Today we'll discuss about contemporary issues of family, marriage, and kinship. In this, we'll discuss about the new reproductive technologies and the kinship. As a society is changing drastically, right? So there is a change in the institution as per the requirement of the society or as per the change in the society. Uh, because of change in the society, because of development of science and technology, various new technologies have evolved, and it has changed the structure of the kinship, family, and marriages. There is an innovation in reproductive technology, and this innovation are changing the meaning of conception central to kinship, such as motherhood, parenthood, and personhood. Because of the evolvement of the new reproductive technology, there is a change, right? Now this evolvement of this innovation or evolvement of the new technologies have changed the central idea of parenthood, has changed the center idea of motherhood and the personhood. As a consequence of reproductive technologies, the boundaries between the biological and social basis of kinship have become blurred. Now there is no, now this distinction between the biological and social basis of kinship have blurred down because of the evolvement of science and technology. Birth is no longer only a biological event, but is now a social event as it creates relationship. Reproductive technologies challenge previously held cultural constructions of kinship and bring about new kind of social relations. In that, kinship boundaries are redefined because of the evolvement of the new reproductive technology. Now this evolvement of the new reproductive technologies bring about this new social type of the relationship and the kinship, and this kinship boundaries have been redefined, right? With the development of nrt, this has led to this has led a way for the formation of a family and increase the productive and possibility of possibility to reproduce beyond biology. Now because of the evolvement of the science and technology, because of the development of reproductive technology, the development, this NRT, that is the development of NRT, new reproductive technology, this has shown us a way how can we form a family, and it has increased the possibility to reproduce beyond biology, right? At times, if it is difficult for someone to carry, then because of these new technologies, because of new reproductive technology, now this chances the chances has been increased to reproduce beyond biology. It has led to cultural understanding of family and kinship. Understanding nrt in kinship studies, right? It is important that we should understand this new reproductive technology, how it has affected the families and the kinship structure. Reproductive technologies are ray of hope for those unable to bear children by the process of natural conception, or choose means other than the biological conception to establish a family. At times, it becomes difficult for someone to bear a child, right? Because of certain biological issues, but because of new reproductive technologies, now it becomes possible for those to have a child. um, Examples, those who cannot bear the child was the infertile couples, right? Or while it includes a community, those aiming at a single parenthood. At times you don't want to get married, or you don't want to be associated with someone, but you want to have a child. But it is how could you have a child if you are a single parent? If you want to opt for a single parenthood, now with these technology, you could be apparent. The technology is changing a notion of family, parenthood, gender roles, and marriage within the kinship studies under the influence of reproductive technologies. See, now because of these NRTs, this has changed the notion of family, right? Family, the family could be either, if we go by the definitions of the family is a group of people, those who live under one roof and eat food cooked in the same kitchen. And how could you create a family? Through affinal relationship you could create a family, right? But now with the development of the reproductive technology, it is not important that the family should be the affinal family, right? So it has changed the concept or notion of the family. It has changed the concept of parenthood or a gender role and marriage within the kinship. NRT have made it clear that the descent and alliance are not only basis of foregoing kinship. Kinship, we define the kinship either on the basis of the family or on the basis of the alliance, right? Now with NRT, this NRT has made it clear that the descent could not be only through the alliance or through the lineage, right? So it is clear that descent and alliance are not only the basis of the foregoing kinship, right? Even if if you are not married, or even if you are not related to someone through the descent, then again you could be a family. You can make a family. Their acceptance has not been uniform in this society where they are practiced. Although still, with the development of these technologies, you can create a family, right? These new reproductive technologies have changed the meaning of the kinship, family, marriages, but still, the acceptability of NRTs or these types of the relationships are not uniform in this society. Why it is not uniform? Because in different culture the strict codes for incursions of the progeny as a legitimate member of society based on the manner of conception varies. Why it is not uniform in this society? Because that is the there are the strict codes in various societies. There are the different codes or the strict codes of the progeny as a legitimate member of a society, right? That is based on the manner of conception. While some society lay emphasis on procreation concerning only biological parents, in some society that procreation is important, but it should be the parent should be the biological parent. Other incorporate the technological innovation more readily, thereby accepting the involvement of large number of people in process of conception and childbirth. In some societies, still procreation is concerned with the biological, only with the biological parent. But in other societies, they incorporates these technological innovations, and thereby they accept the involvement of large number of people in the process of conception and the childbirth. Other than the biological parent, medical practitioners and state become the part of the system of reproduction. Right. See, with because NRT, to use the NRT, there are certain rules and the laws which one has to follow, stated by the government, and medical practitioners are involved in it. Are involved in this process. You can do this under the guidance of the medical practitioners. So, other than the biological parent in this NRT, medical practitioners and the state become a part of a system of reproduction. So there are certain rules related to reproduction when you use NRT, or you can do it under the guidance of medical practitioners, and the biological parents, no doubt, they are the party. Societal norms that restricts interaction between the certain groups due to their perceived inequality in terms of class, ethnicity, race, caste, religion, etc., do not take kindly to the medical procedure that overtook these consideration in regard to patients and the donors. Those societies that allow use of NRT ensure strict checks and control to avoid breakage of ethical and religious code, because there are certain rules. So those societies that allows the use of NRT, they ensure the strict codes, and they check and the controls to avoid the breakage of ethical and the religious code, because it matters. Reproductive technologies are not a new phenomenon. The world's first test tube baby, Louisa Brown, was born in UK in 1978. So it's not a new technology, but the development of these procedures as a specialized branch within biogenetics to correct or circumvent infertility is recent. But now this has evolved. This system, this reproductive technology has evolved as a specialized branch within biogenetics, and with the involvement of this branch is used to correct or circumvent the infertility, right? It is a recent development. Now infertile couple could have kids through these technologies. Reproductive technologies are a result of development in biotechnology. It marked a shift from nature to choose by opening up possibility of parenthood to those otherwise hampered by the biology. Okay. Hampered by the by the for the biology, for example, infertile couples or the same sex couple could not have kids, but with the use of NRT you can have kids. Or the single or the divorce or widows or widowers, those without a sexual partner now can have kids or the child. The development of NRT paved way for the formation of family and increased the possibility to reproduce beyond biology. It has led to a cultural understanding of family and kinship. Now you can have a family, right? And this NRT has increased the possibility to reproduce beyond biology, and it has changed the meaning and the understanding of family and kinship, right? What is this NRT, new reproductive technology? New reproductive technology refers to the technology that intervene in biological act of procreation, right? I hope understood. This is a technology. See, how could you procreate? Through there is a biological process, but there are certain issues with certain couples, with few couples, that they cannot be a parent through. They cannot be a parent because of certain issues. But NRT helps, or this NRT is a technology, new reproductive technology is a technology that intervenes in the biological act of procreation. Even if there are certain issues, that there are certain biological issues, it intervene in the biological act of procreation and helps those couple to have child. It can facilitate, prevent, or intervene in the process of reproduction, including birthing, contraception, abortion, and antenatal testing. NRT also referred to as assisted reproduction. Assisted reproduction, because you should opt all these technology, or you should undergo the treatment under the guidance of medical practitioners. So that's why a medical practitioners is a party in this in new in this nowadays in reproduction. So NRT is referred to as assisted reproduction, that someone assists you to reproduce. NRT has been classified in three main categories. First is managerial technology, which includes the management of pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and the birth. So we can divide NRT into three phases, or into three categories. The first category is managerial technologies. Managerial technologies means managerial technologies includes the management of pre-pregnancy, right? Management of pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and the birth. Then contraceptive technologies, which can be non-interventionist, like diaphragm or condom, or involves use hormone suppressants intrauterine devices and sterilization. So contraceptive technologies, right? NRT, that you can use these NRTs, these contraceptive technologies. Then the conceptive technologies, like it includes the artificial inseminations, surrogacy, fertility drugs, embryo donation, and in vitro fertilization. So there are three, we can divide this NRT into three. The first is managerial technologies, which assist you to manage the pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and the birth. Then the contraceptive technology, that is non-intravenous, like diaphragm or condom, or it involves the hormonal suppressant, right? Then this is the conceptive technologies. Conceptive technologies means which helps in conception of a child, like artificial insemination could be there, right? Surrogacy, you might have heard about the surrogacy, and the fertile drugs are there, and embryo donation and in vitro fertilization, all these are included under the NRT. The most prominent reference of understanding NRT is in vitro fertilization, IVF. NRT is not only a medical device but also an institution that allows a creation of parenthood, thus giving way a new form of procreation. So it opens up the door for those who cannot be a parent biologically. It opens up the door for those, right? So it is an institution that allows the creation of parenthood, right? NRT requires intervention of human, machine, medical professional to make reproductive choices available to individuals. All these are required. The inherent requirement of a third party in reproduction has impacted the understanding of kinship, right? So because of this, these requirement, the third party requirement, this third party requirement in reproduction, it has impacted the understanding of kinship. As per our understanding, kinship, how we define a kinship, that kinship could be because of the descent, because of the blood. Either the one could be kin because of the blood or because of marriage, right? So there could be a kinship because of the descent or because of the alliance. But with NRT, with the development of NRT, this has impacted the understanding of kinship. Now you can be a kin without any descent or without any alliance, right? Redefining meaning of motherhood and maternity. Reproductive technologies have changed the way we think about motherhood. Earlier, motherhood was seen as culturally and legally established through genetic kinship claims based on a nuclear family structure. Motherhood, whom we consider a mother, earlier we consider how could you be a mother if you get concept through the conception of the child biologically and by giving birth to a child, then you could be a mother. But with the development of this NRT, right now, without even concepting a child, without even conceptions and giving birth, now you could be a mother. It has changed the meaning of a motherhood. But if we go culturally, right, or legally established, that there is a genetic kinship, that you could be a kin, you could be a kin because of your descent or because of your alliances. That today reproductive technology have allowed for new legitimation of motherhood and thereby widening the scope of motherhood to include a wide range of possibility that no longer rest on the simple biological claim and the traditional nuclear family model, right? As in if we go culture, if we go by culture, you could one could be a mother only by giving birth to a child. But with the development of these reproductive technologies and with the legitimation of these new technologies, it is important that these technologies should be legitimate technologies. It should be accepted legally. Now, with the legitimation of these technologies, this has changed the definition of motherhood, right? It has opened up the avenues or the range of possibilities that no longer rests on the simple biological claims of motherhood. You could that earlier you could be mother if you have given birth to a child. Now you could be a mother even without giving birth to a child, because of the legitimation of new reproductive technologies. This challenges the normative family model and destabilizes the societal understanding of motherhood, because the mother may involve an egg donor or a surrogate, or be father or a grandmother, or involve more participant than the intended parents. So it has changed the meaning of motherhood, it has changed the meaning of parenthood, it has changed the meaning of a family. This new reproductive technology have changed the meaning of a family. You could be a mother if anyone has donated the egg, then that lady could be a mother, right? Even through surrogacy, now you could be a mother, right? Um, it is evident that the motherhood may no longer be defined solely by having birthing rights over the child, right? Even through surrogacy, one could be mother. Sociological relevance of NRT. What is the relevance of this NRT to this society? What is the sociological relevance of the NRT? The option of NRT is especially useful in the context of patriarchy, which defines women primarily in terms of reproductive capacity, with emphasis on genetic and blood link with the child. So it has changed the meaning of the family nowadays. Now society is changing drastically. The society is evolving. This NRT is useful in context of patriarchy. In patriarchy, the patriarchy defines women primarily in terms of reproductive capacity, right? What we consider the main in patriarchy, we consider the women primarily in terms of reproductive. That is the main thing, that the main uh, work of a women in patriarchy is procreation, right? Reproductive capacity with emphasis on genetic and blood link with the child. That you could be if we go by the definition of motherhood culturally, or then culturally, that one could be a mother if one has given birth to the child, right? But with NRT, this definition has been changed, and it has useful this NRT is useful in context of patriarchy. Reproduction is seen as a natural process over which men exert control through technological intervention. They have been blamed for promoting patriarchy and equating motherhood with womanhood, thus enforcing linear progression from marriage to childbirth by applying a stigma of childlessness. Right, so there was a stigma of a childlessness, right? It associates with the with those specifically with those women which were not able to give birth to the child biological, or which were not able to, or which are not able to bear a child biologically. But with the help of these NRT, this we can remove this stigma. This helps the this has redefined the motherhood. NRT is regarded by the feminist critics as gender fragmentation of women's bodies into eggs and wombs, which dehumanizes and objectifies women by promoting a view of their bodies as detachable parts that can be combined and recombined to create motherhood. Although the feminists criticize this NRT. According to them, this NRT, they criticize this NRT as a gender fragmentation of the criticized as a gender, and the fragmentations of the women's body into eggs and worms. They have divided the bodies into eggs and worms, which is according to these feminist critics, it is dehumanizes and objectifies the women. How it dehumanizes and objectifies the women by promoting a view of their bodies as a detachable parts, right? It can be combined and recombined to create a motherhood. Then again, it depends how you see the things, right? Women desperate to become mothers are given a chance become complete by using reproductive technology procedures, right? Enhancing women's access to and control over the technology. Now, with the development of the technology, those who wanted to be mother can be mother. A positive viewpoint is that reproductive technology is liberating for women by helping them overcome with their relegation to domestic sphere by handling them control over their reproductive abilities, whether to conceive, when to conceive, or how to conceive, because we have divided the this NCT into three, and with this, now women can decide whether to conceive, when to conceive, and how to conceive. Those opting for NRT have to fend off social stigma, as some individual or social group may consider NRT to violate certain conditions they feel are necessary for acceptance of a child as member of their community. See, there is a stigma, still there is a stigma associated with NRT by this social group. Some social group consider NRT to violate the certain conditions which are necessary to accept a child as a legitimate child or a member of the society or a community, right? But again, this NRT has helped many of the couples. They may find uncertainty of traceable relatedness and social credential of donor parents involved, and lack of commonality of religion, race, ethnicity unacceptable to carry out reproduction using technology that involves such person. Still, stigma is associated with NRT because at times it becomes because there is an uncertainty, or it becomes difficult to trace the relatedness or the social credential of the donor parents, about their, there is a doubt about their ethnicity, about their religion, right? And there are so many stigmas still associated with this NRTs, and many social group creates a risk about the NRT, and it becomes then they opposes this NRT, and according to them, this NRT that this NRT violates the certain conditions, right? To become a parent, allows for formation of families by choices. Now you can create a family by choice, right? If culturally you can have a family either through birth or through marriage. But nowadays you can create your families by your choice, right? If you are not born in that family, if you are not associated with someone through blood or the descent, if you are not married to someone, then again you can form a family, right? Reproductive technology, now because of these new reproductive technologies, NRTs, this allows the formation of families by choice. Reproductive technologies have allowed the formation of families by choice. Like families by choice means the same sex families, single parenthood, and so on. If you are single parent and don't want to marry, or if you are not married, or if you are divorcee, widower, then even you can have a family. Then even you can have a kids with the help of these new reproductive technologies. The family by choice is an illustration of the fact that biology is not only defining feature of kinship. People can begin without sharing blood or the marital relationship. Culturally, people the relationship, the kinship relationship should be based either on the bloods or the on the blood or the marriage or the alliance. But now NRT has defined that it is not required to be that, it is not required that one should be connected to each other either through the blood or through marital relationship. Without these two, you could have a family, you could be kin. Kinship is based on the love and enduring solidarity expected to characterize these family relationships. Instead of blood or the marital relationship, the kinship is based on the love, right? Or solidarity. Further, it also negates the idea of procreation based on heterosexual identities. Right? For procreate, you should be it negates the idea of procreation based on the heterosexual identities. Now, the same-sex couple could have kids. Family is no longer seen as a unit for reproduction. Rather, it can be non-procreative unit. The main aim of family, the main aim of marriage is, there are the three aims of marriage. That is the, in Hindus, marriage is a dharma. The second aim of marriage, as per Hindus, it is. The first aim is dharma, then praja, and then rati. Right? Praja is procreation. Right? So now family is no longer seen as a unit of reproduction. Rather, it can be non-procreative family. Right? It could be non-procreative unit. Such family ties are based on the ideology of choice and love. Such families where they are which are non-procreative unit, they are based on the choices. They are based either on the choice or the love, and stand in opposition to the biological model of kinship. The families of choice, therefore, emerge as an important basis to question biological model heterosexual domain of kinship, which has failed to provide support and care to the lesbian women and the men. Right? So now you can have a family by choice, and this family by choice, where it is not, where procreation is not the main aim, the families could be non-procreative, right? And it challenges the biological model of kinship, right? It challenges the biological model of the kinship as well as the heterosexual domain of the kinship, right? Because these model, the heterosexual domain or the biological model, has failed to provide support to many, right? Negative impacts of NRT on family and kinship. There are certain negative impacts of NRT of family and the kinship due to the debates about the appropriateness of NRT. It is not guaranteed that they will be well received and accepted in the positive term by all members of the society that adopts them. So it again depends that people could misuse these types of technologies, right? There is no guarantee that these technologies will be well received and accepted in the positive term by the all members of the society, and they adapt them. And RTR, this sparking legislative debate about ethical, social, legal consequences of its uses. There are debates are going on about the legitimacy of this NRT. Right, legislative debates are going on whether whether giving birth to a child using these technologies are legitimate or not. So there is a question of legitimacy, and the debates are going on. Right, there is a debate about the ethical and the social consequences of its uses, how it will impact the society. Right, will it disturb the social order, or it will impact, how it will impact, whether it will impact the ethnicity, or there are the debates on the ethnicity, or the that is the ethical consequences of use of these technologies. Is it ethically correct to use these type of technology and giving birth to a child? Right, so ethical, social, and legal consequences. There is a debate going about the ethical consequences of NRT, use of NRT, or the social consequence, how it will impact the society, and legal. There are the legal consequences of use of these types of the technology. The unregulated proliferation of reproductive technologies bring in the serious question that force a rethinking of the idealness of the reproductive technologies. Now, there are the chances, or people misuses these types of the technologies. So there is an unregulated proliferation of reproductive technologies, right? And people misuses, the some people, actually few people misuses these technologies, and this creates, or this raises a serious question, right? And that forces a rethinking of the idealness of the reproductive technology, whether these use of these reproductive technologies are correct or not, because of misuse of these technologies by few. This technology is considered to promote capitalism by treating human bodies as commodities for sale, worth the economic capital, and resorting to medical tourism. Obviously, you could consider that this technology somehow, in some way, promotes the it has positive impact. It has given chances to those who cannot be the parent biologically. It has increased the chances of the parenthood for those, right? But again, every coin has two sides, positive sides and the negative side. Positive sides, it has it has given happiness to the many childless couples, right? Many childless couple now, with use of these technologies, could be parents. This is the positive side of NRT. But again, there are some negative sides of the NRT, that people misuses these technologies to earn money. And the other is, these technology promotes the capitalism, right? Because as you know that you that these are expensive. These NRTs are not that cheap. These are the expensive treatments, right? So this promotes the capitalism. How it promotes the capitalism? By treating human body as commodity for sales. They treat human body as a commodity, that we can now human body is a commodity, and with the help of NRT, we can help you by using your bodies, that working economic capital and resorting to the medical tourism. People come visit to many places for these things, right? That is medical tourism. It results in an unethical but thriving fertility industry. People misuses this. There are the ethical questions, ethical debates are going on about the use of these type of technologies. So this results in an unethical but thriving fertility industry. Whether the human reproductive parts like eggs, sperm, uteri, or embryo can be bought, sold, or hired. Is it good? Is it legal? Should we do it? Even if it is legal, should we do it? Is it ethical to buy or to sell or to purchase this sperms, eggs, or uteri, or the embryo? So these are the ethical questions. It overrules health right and concern of gender by exploiting a donor through low economic rewards, sales, and health risk from unregulated frequency of procedures. Yes, people misuses this because it is considered to promote the capitalism, and in capitalism you want to earn more, right? So it overrules the health rights. So at times, the medical practitioners or the donor or the even the purchaser overlook the health right, and concern of genders by exploiting the donors, right? They at times they exploit the donor through low economic reward. They pay a small amount to the donor, and it exploits the donor. And the health risk, there could be the health risk from unregulated frequency of procedures, because you have to earn more. Now it is a business. This is a Now it has become a business. Few people have started misusing this, or few people misuses the technology, and because of those the health issues, now there are the health issues, or the risk of the health issue increased. How health issues has increased, or there how there is a risk of health issues because of the unregulated frequencies of procedure. There is unregulated, it is matter of concern, unregulated frequencies of procedure. It could harm the health of the donor, or it could harm the health of the acceptor. It results in medicalization of their reproductive bodies, as both the clients for treatment of their own infertility, also the donor facilitating other to have babies. So it impacts both, that is the donor and the acceptor. And RT has received a mixed response because of the problem bordering to their lack of affordability, accessibility in different countries, and the low success rate. Right. So NRT has received a mixed response. Many people, those childless couple, prefers to have a kid through NRT, right? But there are certain issues related with NRT because of lack of affordability. These types of treatment cost a lot, right? The accessibility in the different countries at times, because of the legal issues, because of the ethical issues, because of the religious issues, these are not easily accessible, and the success rate is even low. There is no guarantee, the success rate is low, right? NRT is changing the existing understanding of how motherhood and identity is conferred upon mother and child respectively, at the cost of becoming a threat to religious beliefs regarding pollution, conception, and determination of maternity. Right. So now this is a risk, religious as now NRT, in some countries, in some countries, in most of the countries, there are the questions, there are the ethical questions, religious questions, question of pollution, purity and pollution. We discussed about the purity and pollution of the caste, specifically in India, and then the determination of maternity, or the definition of motherhood. It has raised a question about all these things. Older, unchanged norms which make no provision of new innovation and procedure must be upgraded at the earliest. The contest between the tradition and modernity is brought to the fore and is currently unresolved in the case of reproduction in Israel. In many of the countries, there is still a taboo, right? That is whether some of the religion, whether we should allow these NRTs in the countries or they not, as per the religion or not. So although NRT helps many childless couple, and it has redefined the marriage, family, and the kinship system. But there are certain negative points associated with NRT, right? As every aspect has both positive and negative sides. Similarly, NRT has both positive and negative sides. It depends how you use that technology, right? If you use that technology well, then it helps the society. But because of the certain people, those who misuses the technology, it creates rust and the problems for the society and the social order. Again, it depends on the society as well as the individual, how an individual or the society uses the technology, right? Now marriage and migration, right? Marriage and migration, as we know that marriage is a social institution, right? Marriage is a social institution where a man establishes a social sanctioned marital relationship with a woman so as to provide the legitimacy of the children born out of such relations, right? As we know that marriage is a institution, there are certain rules and regulations associated with the marriage, and in this the man establishes a legitimate sexual relationship with women, right? Why marriage is required? That is, it provides the legitimacy of the children born out of this such relationship. When the children born out of such relationships are considered to be the legitimate child. Marriage is an important source of migration, and it is the women who generally migrates, right? Because migration is when a person moves from his or her place to someone else's place. In India, after a marriage, normally a girl moves from from her parents' place to groom's parents' place or the groom's place. So marriage is associated is an important source of migration, right? In largely patrilineal or patrilocal society, women move to their husband's home upon marriage, like in India. What are the factors that causing marriage migration? There are certain factors, like the important factor of marriage migration is role of social group and the village community. In Indian society, characterized by the principles of endogamy and exogamy, we discussed about the endogamy and exogamy in detail. In Hindu society, the hypergamous tendency operates with the caste endogamy, and this tendency is closely related with migration. When after marriage, the women or the girl moves from her place to groom's place, right? The exogamous pattern of marriage taking place between the village pushes a large population of female population to move from one village to another, but within the boundaries of a social group, right? Exogamous marriage where the girl move where the female population moves from one village to another village, but within the boundaries of a social group. The principle of village exogamy permits matrimonial selection from outside village because of the widespread Hindu customs taking a bride from the another village. The principle of group endogamy permits matrimonial selection from within the social group. This makes a woman remain within the social boundaries or her social or the caste group. Right? Endogamy, when women is endogamy is this makes this endogamy makes a woman to remain within the social boundaries of her social or the caste group. The social group endogamy restricts the social mobility of a women across the boundaries of social group, but the village exogamy permits them to cross the spatial boundaries of the village. Right? In endogamy, you should be within the social boundaries of a social group, but with the village exogamy, you can move out from the boundaries of their village, but you should remain within the boundaries of a social group. This is a social basis of migration from village of origin to the village of destination, right? According to the marriage bond of patrilocal residents of patriarchal family, the young bride has to move to the village of her destination. The volume of female migration due to marriage is quite high even in the urban areas, right? Interregional variation of marriage migration. Migration happen more due to the regional disparity in development. People move from backward underdevelopment region to the developed and the prosperous areas in order to improve their living conditions. Marriage is one of the reason, right? When a girl move from her place to her destination place, right? From her village to her to the groom's place, right? Even in the urban areas it is quite common. But again, because in search of the jobs or in search of the prosperity, people move from the underdeveloped region to the developed and prosperous areas, right, to improve their living conditions, right? So, conventionally arranged marriages in India, whether short or long distance, are ideally governed by local specific marriage rules. That is, marriage usually takes place between the individuals belonging to the same region, religion, caste, or the class. Marriages are generally hypergamous and accompanied with the dowry. There are two types of the marriages, hypergamous and hypogamous marriages. And marriages are generally hypergamous. Hypergamous marriage is hypergamous is when you marry within the same caste, or when you're same caste, when you are on the same hierarchy of the caste, right? The marriage between a boy and a girl who are on the same hierarchy of a caste, then that is known as the hypergamous, right? In Petri local marriage migration, the distance between women's natal and marital home has traditionally been small. With urbanization and changing criteria of spouse selection, the distance has been increasing among the upward mobile families in different social groups. Normally, in arranged families, in Petri, very local marriage migration, that is the distance between the women's natal place and the marital home has traditionally been small. But with the change in the society, because of the development of the urbanization, because of the change in the criteria of the spouse selection, this distance has been increasing because of the urban mobilities, upward mobility, right? The prevalence and increasing popularity of cross region marriage, especially in female deficient areas, raises several important questions regarding the acceptance of the region, culture, language, and religion. In many cross country marriage migration, grooms are ranked in terms of likelihood of achieving permanent settlement abroad, right? Nowadays people move abroad for better lifestyle, right? And with this movement, people migrate from one place to from one country to another country. The brides are, however, ranked in terms of traditional requirement of the wives, a breadwinner, husbands, beautiful, domesticated, familiar with culinary the home. Positive and negative aspects of marriage migrations. There are both positive and negative aspects of marriage migration. It involves the problem faced by the couples, but mainly women and their children, when adjusting to a new environment and dealing with the legal issues, including the citizenship, if it's a transitional migration. There are the positive and negative aspect, and it is mostly related to the women and the children. At times they face the issues related to the citizenship. Genuine marriage migration is concern for both migrant community and the state in destination country. Cases of women being subjected to cruelty of false marriage, cheating, dowry extortions have increased in proportion of growing number of Indians emigrating in search of green pastures abroad. We have read many news of cruelty of false marriage, dowry, dowry extortion, cheating when people move abroad or from one place to another. Even within the country, women are more vulnerable to physical and sexual abuse, lower wages, and other forms of exploitation, because it is basically a woman who moves out from her place. So there could be they are more vulnerable to physical and sexual abuses. Large scale import of women through marriage migration has already been reported from the areas of better sex ratio, resulting in difference in experience of brides. We know that there is a skewed sex ratio in many parts of the country, right? And that we have read many news, and there are the news of the marriage migration, right? That is the brides, that where there is a skewed sex ratio. People prefer to purchase or get married to the girls where the sex ratio is quite high or good, right? Where there is a better sex ratio. The issue of marriage migration and trafficking is connected to the large story of business in brides in northwest India. Skewed sex ratio are the result of several interrelated factors like female feticide, young women being lured away from to the jobs in India's booming cities. So this migration leads to many type of the problem like trafficking. There are the chances of the trafficking. There are the chances of the sexual abuse. There could be the physical abuses. These women often become forced migrants, especially those who end up in the sex or entertainment industry in forced labor or in cross-border marriage migration. Right? There are the high chances of exploitation in case of cross-border marriages. Those girls who ends up in the sex and or at the entertainment industry. In all such cases, the agency of bride is silenced, and poor and marginalized women are made a victim of selfish demand of the bride takers in context of uneven social and economic development. Where there is uneven social and economic development, actually the bride taker silenced the bride agencies at times by threatening them or by giving them few a small amount of money, right? And basically those who are economically weaker, they prefer this type of a section. Marriage migration is very often led to trafficking, exploitation, and the sex trade of a girl from the different part of the South Asian countries. It is quite common. Often marriages are bait to lure women from poor women into sex work in a fairway place. They have a little or no recourse to parental support structure, are illiterate, lack of citizenship status, and all those things. Right? These unusual marriages are consequences of combination of factors like adverse sex ratio, acute poverty, and desire of parents to escape dowry. So this led to problem to this can create a problem for women. Poor parents are being driven to marry their daughter hundred of miles away from home, while men from the low sex ratio states, right, many states are importing foreign women from the eastern and the southern state of the marriage partner. Women too may be choosing this as a migration strategy to move from a poorer to more desirable location. Among the positive effect of the marriage migration has also emerged as an acceptable means of disadvantaged women to achieve measure of social and economic mobility. Right, people from the low strata from this migration can help women to move from a economically weaker section to the higher section, or there could be a social mobility. Migration has also encouraged the gender roles within the family. It provides the economic security, enhances the autonomy of a woman and her respect in both eyes of her family and community, and offer women economic security, escape from the subjunction and the persecutions. Process of labor migration itself often results in the marriage migration as young migrant workers find their spouses among their workmates. Migrant daughters may enjoy more freedom in selecting their own partner and spending their own income and in helping their netter families financially before and after marriage. So, these are the positive sides of the marriage and the migration, right? Marriage migration and the kinship network. Marriage migration is seen as a social institution determined merely by kinship and custom. Patriarchy with the marriage and the large society is realized a greater power of husband, the undervaluation of women's work and career relative to men's, and implicit norm of male a breadwinner and women a homemaker. In anthropology, the rules of postmarital residence are important feature distinguish one type of kinship system from the another. Right? We discussed about all these types of the residence: neo-local, viri-local, petri-local, metri-local residence. Right? Zeo-local. We discussed about all these type of relationships. Right? Marriage migration and rules of endogamy. These are the rules of endogamy. Endogamy is marriage within the one's own caste group, although outside one's own caste is Gotra or Kalana. Hierarchy: bride givers are inferiors to the bride takers, and hypergamy, that women must marry up both socially and marry up both socially and economically, that is hypergamy. The rule of the caste endogamy is shared all over India. However, with the caste isogamous, that is spouse of the equal status, or hypergamous, spouse of unequal status, marriage may occur, right? In many parts of north, village exogamy is another rule, which is imperative for spouses to be from different villages. Dowry is universal in country and considered as a rule. We discuss about all these things in detail. According to the high caste custom, a honorable marriage is one accompanied by dowry and not by the bride price. On the other hand, South Indian marriages often took place among the close relative, due to which brides were known to the family. A real classificatory cross cousin marriage and the uncle niece marriage were prevalent in the South India. In North, people preferred to marry strangers. The first rule of caste endogamy is rarely infringed except the contemporary non arranged marriages. One can easily witness a change in the arena of marriage, as in the South, the shift from matrilineality to the patrilineality and movement away from marriage among close relatives in patrilineal families are important changes. Now there is a changes are going on. Marriages among the non-elite person coming together in urban work context are also broadening in the marriages. So because of the change in the society, the change in the kinship system and marriages is taking place, and there are the positive and negative sides of both these changes, right? That's all for today. Thank you very much. Namaskar.